Welcome to Hey Dad Podcast. Real dads, tough issues, and a genuine love for a fatherless generation.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back. I'm Rick Rivera.
I'm Denim Man.
Denim Man, that's all. And this is the Hey Dad Podcast. So, guys, we want to talk about, has anyone ever broken you down with words that really impacted you?
Yeah, like how are you receiving criticism?
Well, sometimes it could come from a teacher, from a parent, but someone ever cut you with their words. And how did it impact you? And here's another thing, though. Are you still living in that brokenness because of that? Or did you shake it off? Or how did you shake it off? You know, I think those are the key elements of it, because people are always going to say mean things. It's unavoidable. Yeah, there's just dumb, mean people out there. And that's just how it is. You know, a woman will say something mean, an ex will say something mean, a girlfriend will say something mean, your parents, you know, some of us may not have the best ones, they'll say something mean, an uncle, you know. Any stories of someone who hit you with something like that, something cutting, and how did you process it or deal with it?
It didn't really happen so much early in life, mainly because I was so dense. I really didn't.
It didn't register.
Yeah, it kind of didn't register.
Yeah. That's kind of being thick-skinned, though, isn't it? Like, I'm sure you were told stuff, but you just let it roll off your back.
Yeah, or I don't understand what they're saying, and so I just dismiss it or something, you know, which is actually a great defensive mechanism, you know.
Yeah.
Note to self, being a little density goes a long way, you know. But really, the heaviest blows are the ones that come from the people you care about the most.
Yeah.
You know, when you're early, what your mom and what your dad say about you can cripple you for life.
Yeah.
You know, and I had a dad that he was a floor covering guy, and I worked for him. I worked in his business. Really, kind of like a slave, a mule slave for his business.
Back in the day when they had kids to do labor.
Dirtiest freaking work you could possibly imagine, you know.
Well, how old are you at this time?
That was like from the time I was about 10 years old to 17, really. I was working with my dad on the weekends or whenever he had big jobs and needed extra hand. I was the extra hand, whether I liked it or not, you know, which is fine, you know. I'm all up for that. You build a lot of community when you're working hard with other people along the way. But when you are under the scorn of somebody that is just making you feel like you can't do anything right, man, that is hard.
Yeah.
That's harsh. And it can get to the point where it kind of breaks your will.
Yeah.
Maybe will's not the right word. It breaks your spirit to where now I don't care what anybody says.
Exactly.
I'm just going to do whatever I'm going to do.
Yeah.
You know, it's again a defensive way to be, but it's not a good place to be.
Yeah. Not caring, just forget you, huh?
Yeah. My dad, he was pretty tough, you know. And oddly enough, I grew up, I'm a craftsman now too. So in my regular day business, I'm refinishing exotic leather furniture and I'm creating finishes and all kinds of stuff like that. I'm pretty hard on the people that work too.
Are you?
Not hard in the sense of cracking the whip, but very demanding of perfection.
How it should be, right?
And often demanding the kind of perfection they're not capable of giving yet.
Right.
Because they haven't been doing this for 50 years like me, you know? So I have to watch myself. I remember an incident when I was a kid and my dad told me to sweep a floor. We had torn up the linoleum. We were going to put new linoleum down on this floor. Before that had to be done, it had to be immaculately clean because any debris that was on the floor that got caught up in the glue that's going to go down, it's going to show up through the new floor that goes down. It'd be like a little bump. So it's really critical to get that perfect. So he gave me the job of sweeping this kitchen out. So I swept it out, told him it's ready. He comes in, he looks around, and he grabs a broom and he sweeps and he swept up a whole pile of stuff. Like, what? Yeah. Where's that coming from, It's like, oh, it's just embarrassing. And he's looking at me like, now do it and do it like you mean it. Yeah. So I swept it again. This time I got down on my hands and knees, not the broom, stand-up broom, the whisk broom.
Right.
And I swept every corner and I got all that stuff together and I came, so all right, it's ready now. He comes in, he looks around, he gets down on the ground with my whisk broom, sweeps up another pile of stuff. Like, how is this happening? How can this be just blowing my mind? I feel like I'm in the Twilight Zone. So I swept it again, and this time I swept that thing so clean, you could have eaten off of it, And it went over 3 different times, searching every single corner. And I called my dad to come in again. And he gets down on his knees and he starts sweeping. He starts sweeping up another pile of stuff. But then I saw it. He had the stuff in his hand. And he was sprinkling it around and then sweeping it up.
Was he just messing with you?
He was messing with my head.
That's funny.
He was screwing with me to toughen me up so that my perfectionism would somehow rise to the level of his. And I caught him and said, that stuff's in your hand. I looked at him. He just looked up. Then he dropped everything and ran.
So funny. Would he have told you if you didn't see him?
I don't know, man. I don't know. He probably would have made me sweep that 10 times until eventually he had to get on with doing the job. But God, I think he had fun doing that. But, my dad would do stuff like that and just make me feel like I was not competent,
What do you do now if someone says something? Like, let's say you do a job, you refinish the leather on the couch, and somebody, and I know you work for people with money, and they're not always the nicest people.
Yeah.
Someone cuts you down, you did your best, and how do you feel that emotionally?
All right. It can get to the point where I'm ready to fight, Yeah. I had a customer like this. This literally happened just about 2 or 3 weeks ago. Doing this job, and it was very demanding. They said, I don't like this flaw in the leather, I don't like that flaw, and they pointed at them and usually what I do is I take a little piece of masking tape and put it next to the flaw, and that's how we identify it. So it's like 3 different chairs, and they were peppered with little things. So I bring it into my shop, get my shop lights on it, so it's very revealing, and I go to work attacking these things, and I attack them all. You take the tape off after it's done till everything is done. I bring it back and they go over and they start finding the things that were second place. It's like when you make something perfect, then whatever is the second place flaw now is first place.
Yeah, exactly.
Everything gets promoted.
Right.
And, and then with, are you really trying to screw me and not doing, when they start challenging my
came
integrity.
At you like that? Yeah.
Yeah. And what I realized, it really wasn't about me. It was about they wanted their money back. They had buyer's regret. They didn't want the chairs. They wanted to get out of the deal. So they were just using me and failing my effort as a way to force the furniture company to pay off for them. So I was caught in the middle of that. And, oh, man, it was so outrageous. Usually, I've been in situations like that before. Normally, my play is just keep my mouth shut, get up and move on. But in this case, it was so offensive, and their attitude was so offensive that I did kind of open my mouth. And usually never a good thing.
Yeah.
Doing that. But I felt justified, and I felt better about doing it. I didn't get paid for all the work that we did. But it was emotionally freaking straining.
Yeah.
Because then the rest of the day, that beratement hangs with you. And it corrupts and it pollutes everything I'm doing from that point on.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Like pours vinegar in your drink. It just ruins everything.
It still bothers me,
You know, it's funny. I built up a defense towards it. I grew up in a very verbally abusive environment, right? Very verbally abusive, harsh, ugly things. But here's the funny thing, and I can't even, I'm not even sure how I was able to shift my mind out of it. I always thought lesser of them. And this came from family members who were raising me, not my mom and dad. And I never respected what they said. And they said some ugly things, but it meant nothing to me. And this is going to sound arrogant, God forgive me, but in my mind, I thought, you're inferior to me. That's a horrible way to think.
It's a defensive mechanism.
And mind you, dude, I'm like in 5th, 6th, 7th grade at this time.
Pretty sophisticated, really, for as young
honestly,
as you were.
yeah, well, because they were not quality people, if I'm honest about it.
Yeah.
So, and I recognized that as a kid.
Yeah.
And I used to think, you're less than me. And then early on, I'd fought and hurt my feelings. I'd gotten better. Then when I came to that realization very quickly, so anytime I run across someone who says something mean towards me, because I live my life, I'm a nice guy. I'm not rude to anyone. I'm honest. And so when someone comes at me and something that's not true, I just lose respect for everything coming out of their mouth.
Yeah.
So it doesn't even matter. So instead of getting tension and all that, quivery voice, I'm calm.
Mm-hmm.
And if I want to cut them back because they hurt me and I'm in a mean mood, I could say something cutting. But I'll usually say something, just set them straight. Like, what you're saying is total nonsense and you're wrong. And that's just the way it is. And I say it truly unaffected.
Yeah.
One is all their power is gone. Right. All their power is gone, And then if I want to get cutting about it, I don't know what kind of game you're playing here. Like let's say the leather guy. I'm kind of cheapskate game you're playing here, but you got the good job, and it's wrong that you say that. And you just say it calm.
Yeah.
You're not emotionally invested because you don't respect them. You know that kind of person.
Right.
You know that game. You build up enough experience. Now, am I perfect at it? Absolutely not. Because sometimes people, like I like to say it, like I have a temper. I have a temper that's hard to bring out, but when it's out, it's out.
Yeah.
And you have to know how to hit my buttons in the perfect sequence.
Right.
It's more digits than a pin. So. And if they hit those numbers in that perfect sequence, they got me. And I'm mad now. And then I start becoming pride. Everything I'm telling you guys, this is wrong, but this is how it is. then I'm like, okay, it takes a lot to get me angry. You got me angry. Now here I am. Now you're going to deal with me. And this isn't the nice guy, you're used to. Right. This is someone who's really upset with you. So that does happen. I don't want to say I'm perfect at it.
That's logical. And that's a perfectly reasonable response when somebody is just being abusive coming at you, because they are worth less when they're doing that. But it's those people that you can't, like your wife, you can't.
Oh my gosh!
You can't drop their value.
No.
And if you're in an engagement of where somebody's saying something bad to you and they can't be devalued, that defense is not available.
That's true.
That's a different problem.
It's funny though. If my wife has ever said anything like that mean to me, it was unintentional. See, I think women don't understand how much power they have over us with their words. What they think of us is really important. Mm-hmm. So my wife will say something that hurts my feelings or hurts my pride, and instead of being like, "Oh, honey, I'm hurt," I'm like, I get mad. You know what I mean? But it's never been intentional or with cruelty. Never.
Right.
It may have felt that way. And it's in the funny thing, just to give an example, and I've used this as an example before. My wife loves looking at brand new homes. When they say open house and they'll have like the sample, and she'll go in there and brag on how beautiful the house is.
That's porn to women.
Seriously. And here I am. I give her this 1952 track home, all one bathroom of it. And it's funny, she doesn't know it, but she's breaking me down. And all I'm hearing is, you failed me. You failed your children. This isn't enough. And so, but there's not an ounce of cruelty. She's just loving the house, enjoying the moment, and she's thinking about the kids and how much,
Right.
So there's not a bad, ugly bone in her body over that. But those are the things that, will get me. But even that, I've grown to understand better and understand she doesn't mean it the way I'm taking it,
right.
And I'm pretty reasonable on those things. But that's one of the things, like, I guess, too, when you're in a work environment and someone starts really coming at you, what bothers me about that is they know your hands are tied. They wouldn't talk to you on the street like that.
Yeah.
But no, or you have a business to run, you might get a bad Yelp review. Or you're at a restaurant, you have a manager and you need this job because you're paying off your student loans. They got you. And they just unload, And in the medical industry, I'd manage an office. They would start unloading on my front desk people, or a technologist or something. And I walk out there, I'm totally unaffected by them. I don't care what you say. One is they may have a reason to be upset, and I'm going to fix it for you. Two, they're just ugly and mean.
Yeah.
Ugly, and people don't know this about the medical industry. You can throw somebody out of the office, and you can tell the insurance you're not going to take them back again. You know, so I'm always loaded. You know,
Yeah.
And then sometimes I'll extend grace. They're scared. I mean, when people go in for radiology exams, something's wrong. You know what I'm saying? You're not going in, I have a hangnail. No, they're looking for serious things.
Yeah.
Some people are just petrified.
Yeah.
And they're not. And so and if you read that, I can extend grace for that.
That's what you just said, grace. This is something a lot of young guys may not understand what that is. Grace is understanding and forgiveness in advance.
Yeah.
What that means is you're going to come to me. I'm already going to forgive you for what you might do.
Exactly.
All right.
Yeah.
I have to do this with my son all the time because my son James is autistic. He doesn't have any sense of social boundaries or, what's appropriate, what's not appropriate. So I take him to the men's Bible study, and you've been there, He talks about wanting to go to that Bible study. He wants to be with the men. He's looking forward to it all week long. So finally, the night's here. We're going to come in. I come in, bring him in. Right off the bat, he's screaming at people.
Screaming. I've seen him.
Get away from me!
Yeah.
This is doing the most inappropriate, out there, wide open. So then I trot him right back out and make him sit in the van. But then he'll come back in and want to apologize. So he busts right into them, no matter what's going on, no matter what point the preacher's making, and starts going around apologizing area. Then he starts screaming again.
Yeah.
And
he'll apologize like this far from your face. Too. You're like, are you going to yell at me again,
the spit is hitting your face, And it's so embarrassing to me, and it just is awful. And I'm the caretaker, so I'm front and center for this all the time. But I know who James is.
Yeah.
Grace extends way out in front of me.
Grace, exactly.
Knowing that he'll do that, you're already forgiven for it.
Right.
So it doesn't rail me up.
Yeah.
And that's really, there are defensive strategies, what you do when somebody is like coming at you and it's not right and you can devalue them, which you've talked about. Extending grace to people is another way of dealing with making you basically invincible to assholes of the world, I don't know if I told this story. I don't think I did. I'm in a McDonald's drive-thru and I come up to the window and this is a young man, right? He says, "Can I ask you something?" I was really odd. I'm like, "Yeah, go for it." He's all, "That guy in front of you, he was asking me," and he gave the scenario. There was a drink, and he just asked him, "Well, do you want this?" And there was some confusion in the communication through the drive-thru. Mm-hmm. He goes, then when he drove to the window, he wanted to talk to my manager. And he goes, "Do you think that was my fault?" It's funny that he asked me, Interesting, yeah.
I never had that happen. And I said, "Listen, man, I got to give you the quick version of it." I said, "The guy's an idiot. He's going to wake up an idiot. He's going to go to sleep an idiot. He's going to be an idiot to his family, and they're going to be an idiot back to him. That guy, I understand. He has a miserable life acting like that." I go, "He can't, I go, so he's that way." I go, "You're in a job that you're in a service industry. You just got to put up with it. As long as you got bills to pay, you just got to put up with it." And that's just the truth of the matter. So you kind of have to go into the job understanding this stinks. Now, don't get me wrong. There's limits to that. And it's okay to quit a job under certain circumstances. But 2 to 5% of people are going to be like that. Yeah. And if you can ignore them and not let them steal your day and focus on the other 95, 98% of the kind people, it's a whole different world. You know what I mean?
Look at the genius of that. Is what you did is you drew his grace out. You're saying basically, look, you're in a situation, you have to work with your grace. Yeah. You got to extend it out so it covers the idiots that you're going to encounter. And just understand it's going to be all part of the mix. It's okay. It doesn't reflect on you.
Yeah.
And that was genius, you doing that.
Well, and you know what, too? There's justice because he doesn't win. That guy's a miserable human being. Yeah. And he's going to be miserable to his wife, to his kids, to his neighbors, to his coworkers, and they're going to give it back to him the same way. That kind of ugliness, they're never happy people.
Yeah.
And so they're stuck with themselves. I actually start having pity on them, so, but I come loaded to be ineffective. Either one, I may even just say, "You're a complete abusive moron, and I don't care what you say. Your words have no value to me," Or 2, you extend grace for, whether it's autism or it's there's a reason they're acting like that. I've told this story before too. One time this guy snapped at my wife And so we were doing a church rummage sale because this one of our church members passed away, and she had a lot of things in storage. Some would say a hoarder, but I'm trying not to use that kind of language for her. But she had a lot of stuff. So she donated to the church. So we sold it and gave all the money to our food bank in the church, which is just a win-win-win, right? So her son was there, and he snapped at my wife, like, because there was something he wanted in a box or something like that. Okay, I'm going to go set him straight. That was wrong.
Yeah.
You know how my wife's been here 2 days setting all this up with me, and you're going to come snap at her, and she's not getting a penny out of this. It's all for the church. You're going to get set straight. So when somebody else told me that when I got to the parking lot, as I'm walking in looking for him, she comes up to me and she knows, she says, honey, listen, he snapped at me. Yeah. But then he came back and he apologized. Okay. Now here's where I have to put my grace hat on. He just lost his mom. Yeah. See, I'm thinking this minute, dude just lost his mom.
Yeah.
You're watching your mom's stuff just go out being sold for pennies on the dollar.
Right.
Everything you remember her by is disintegrating in front of you, and you had a moment.
That's like a Superman moment. You were using X-ray vision to look past the immediate moment into the background, which explained everything that was happening.
And it allowed me to extend grace. I didn't talk to him. I didn't say nothing to him, right?
Yeah.
But I'll say this, though. I want to be honest about it. It didn't satisfy my ego at all. I said, I remember just praying to God, saying, Lord, I want to honor you with my life, but man, living like this does not satisfy my flesh because I'm giving up my right to go talk to him and get it off my chest and let him have it, if you will. I'm giving it up, but that's the calling of Christ. I mean,
but I think, not always. Not always, because there are some times where it's appropriate to defend something that needs defending at that moment. We don't believe, as men of God, we don't believe going through life unarmed. No, we have a sword with us at all times, not literally, but mentally. We're here to defend the weak. We're here to defend against injustice. Right. It doesn't mean I have to go barking at every person that walks past the front door like a dog. Yeah. But it means I'm aware. And if you're going to come into my world, the world where I'm standing the post, then
there's a man here. This is guarded. There's a man here.
Yeah, and that's appropriate.
But sometimes, though, too, it's okay to be unaffected by ignorance or meanness. Yeah. Just what the thing is you just got to lose respect for it. And you have to be secure in yourself. Know who you are. Right. I know who I am. I have my weaknesses, heck yeah, and I have a lot of wonderful strengths. I know who I am. There's nothing somebody can say at me that's going to affect me. And I think that probably comes from a defense growing up in a very harsh environment, where ugly things are said, Yeah. But just be unaffected by it. Try to be unaffected by it. See their ignorance. Extend grace when you can extend grace. And then there's times you have to stand up for yourself or somebody else.
Okay, so the next step, if you want to be the 7th level wizard in this scenario, is to go through that criticism experience, then walk away and then truthfully look at what they were saying to see if there's any truth in this. True. Or even if they distorted it, is there something that they were seizing upon and then blew it up into being a big deal? But that thing they seized on might be a nugget of truth.
Dude, okay. I've had both swings, right? Yeah. I've been told ugly things. Here's something that I didn't like hearing, but when I did exactly as you said. This person who worked for me, and she had worked for me for like 10 years, 2 different jobs, right? And she said, that's your problem, Rick. I said, what are you talking about? She's all, when you judge somebody as not a good worker or lazy, they'll never make it off that list you have them on. And I thought, now mind you, we've worked together for so many years, we're comfortable with each other. Oh, please shut up, right? I started thinking about it, and I thought, she's right.
Bingo.
And I'm not talking about an incident, but someone who has real laziness, who plays games, who doesn't work hard, man, they make it on my list. And, I'm talking work environment. Yeah. It's hard for me to take them off the list and not see them as that way. Right. And that's a weakness of mine. And it made me think about that. And I took it to heart. And it stung when I heard it because it had truth in it. You're right, though. Sometimes we have to use them.
Well, there's a saying in the Bible, and it's a proverb, that the blows of a friend are true. And what that means is if somebody that you know, that you respect, they come at you, even if they come at you guns a-blazing, totally out of proportion, but they come at you and you know that this is somebody that actually likes me.
Yeah.
And I've hit a nerve or something, then they may come and it may be a hard experience, but it's to your good.
Yeah.
You know,
Exactly.
It's like your parents. When your parents spank you for doing something that was really bad, like running out in the middle of the street, you get a whack when you're a kid, they're doing that so that you don't get hit by a car.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? Or they do that so you don't put your hand on the stove or something else that would be a terrible consequence.
Right.
And so in that way, you can't take offense. You can't say, well, my parents are nothing but trash because of what they're saying. What they're saying is for my benefit.
Yeah.
But it takes the 7th level wizard to see that truth and to get past all the emotional things that erupt in a moment like that. And just, you know, it's not like you can stand all that down right away. It's like go through the experience, go through it. But before you let the experience completely go, just look back and say, did they have their thumb on something that was true?
Yeah, you're right.
You know?
And I think sometimes it's low self-esteem that makes us vulnerable, or either not to hear good advice or something that's true, or to allow lesser people or mean people to bring us down. You know? My biggest thing is if someone's mean, I don't want them to have power over me where I'm thinking about them later.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want that, especially if they're mean. I'm not thinking much of them to begin with. You're mean. And most of the time I feel sorry for them in one way or another. You know, but I don't want to give them that power. But yeah, if a friend or a family member or someone hits you with something, it's good to stop and listen to it because sometimes there is truth.
Yeah, you know, when you're in a relationship with somebody that they're just in your life, they're always going to be there, and they're practicing this meanness kind of thing on you. The danger of accepting that or ignoring that is you invite a bully situation to develop. When somebody feels like they can come to you and say any kind of crap they want, and you're going to take it, okay, then it's kind of fun.
Right.
Now I'm going to come at you with something else. Now I'm going to come at you with something else. And the more they come at you and the more you stand down, you invite more of it coming your way.
You know, Chris, one of the hardest things I had to learn in life, and I've only learned this recently, I'd say in the last 10 years, there's people out there who are cruel and they want to hurt you.
Yeah.
That perplexes me. I've been, as much life experience as I have, the reality of narcissism and a narcissist, and I'm not throwing that word around loosely, I mean real narcissism, I didn't realize people out there were like that.
Yeah.
I always thought the best of them. No, you're right, though. Some people want to be mean and hurt you.
That's the only way they feel good about themselves is being in that power and juxtaposition.
Everything I've learned about that, all you do is separate yourself from them. Don't call them out. It's not going to do any good. Don't try to salvage it. Don't play the victim. Don't be their victim. Just separate. Separate. If it's a friend, separate. Dude, if it's a girlfriend, lose her.
Yeah.
Do yourself a huge blessing favor. Lose her.
Right.
Just separate yourself from them. You don't have to have that ugly breakup. You don't have that ugly screaming. Just, okay, I see what you are. Your mask came off. I see that you're just a mean, ugly person. Well, guess what? I'm going to just avoid you now. And it doesn't have to be dramatic or nothing like that. Just get them away from your life.
But sometimes you're in situations where you can't avoid them.
True.
Like they're in your class and you're seeing them every day and they're writing you, or they're in your tribe.
Oh, yeah.
Even,
yeah, they're in your
and
circle.
they're writing you. Then sometimes the only thing you do is go up and punch them in the nose.
No.
You know, I know that sounds very simplistic, but sometimes somebody that is in your face like that and abusing you, you have to raise the price to where they don't want to pay anymore.
You know, that I would say avoid them. But here's the worst thing about them, though. You avoid them, now they're going to come after you.
They'll chase you down.
And they're going to get your friends against you too.
Yeah,
They call it flying monkeys. They get all these people to team up with them.
Flying monkeys.
Yeah, they gather flying monkeys. Yeah, because did you know what he said about you? And then you may have even said it, but they're gonna play that.
That's funny.
And these people are bad people, man. Separate yourself. When we say surround yourself with good people, I mean it. And sometimes some of them will pretend to be nice people. They're not. And when they take that mask off and you see it, run. Believe them when they show you who they are, and separate yourself from them. So
life's short, man.
Life's short.
Try to get the richest experience you can by picking the best quality people to be among.
Exactly. And be that quality person to somebody else.
Absolutely.
It's okay to be kind. I had a whole career, like ever since business is tough and you got to man dog eat dog and stuff, I've always been kind and honest in my experiences in work. And it's paid off tenfold. Mm-hmm. It's paid off tenfold. I never burnt a bridge. I've said mean stuff in moments of frustration and anger. I've always come back, hey, Chris, I'm sorry, bro.
Yeah.
That was wrong. This is why I was mad. And I'm not saying that I have a reason for being mad, but what I said was completely wrong, and I apologize.
God, there's so much power in that.
Oh, people
especially
are so forgiving.
When in your own home.
Yeah.
A lot of times, here's a phenomenon that happens to me is that I'll be at work, nothing I'm doing at work goes right. Everything's falling apart. Maybe I had that customer that hated the job, all that stuff. When I come home so hyper freaking controlling of everything. Yeah. I'll seize on how my wife is stirring the soup. You're not doing it right. You need to use a different spoon. Why are you going it clockwise? It should be counterclockwise. It's anything so stupid and idiotic because I'm desperate to control something out of a day of mostly failure that she maybe doesn't have any clue about.
Right.
But that can bring the asshole out of me like nothing else. And then I'll see myself doing it, hopefully, some point. If you find yourself there, don't cover your tracks. Don't make an excuse for yourself.
Don't blame it on
Don't explain.
Her.
Don't even tell her about your hard day. You just come and bald-faced say, I was wrong.
Yeah.
And I'm so sorry. It's my fault. I'm sorry for bringing this misery. I'm going to work on it. Forgive me. Please forgive me. That has a power. You know what happens? You get this backlash of love.
It's magic. I hate to say magic, but it really is incredible, the response you get to just being honest and saying, I'm sorry.
You do that with your kids.
Yeah.
If you've been in your kids' junk all the time.
Oh, yeah.
A dad going down to a kid and revealing his need for forgiveness.
Yeah.
Boy, that kid's going to love you and put you so high on a pedestal. You're going to be on Mount Rushmore before you know it.
And you teach them. You teach them how to be a quality human being. Yeah, exactly. So it's funny, Chris, we've been running down so many rabbit holes. We got over time. I don't even remember what the main topic was.
Oh, yeah, dealing with criticism.
Oh, criticism,
remember?
Harsh, ugly things said to you.
And you kind of screwed this topic up.
I went all over the place.
You're horrible.
I'm a horrible
really.
human being.
Totally.
You just made my I don't care what you say list.
Exactly.
Bullet point. How do we bullet point this? Don't
have a thick skin.
Have thick skin.
A little density goes a long way.
This goes a long way. It's okay not to respect people when they say ugly, mean things.
Yeah.
And if you don't respect them, they're
consider the source. Maybe that's the way to bullet point.
Consider the source. Yeah.
Yeah.
Have pity on them.
Yeah. Try to see past the confrontation.
Yeah.
And have grace on situations that they may be going through.
Yeah. Whether they're not at their best or you're just an ugly human being, now they don't matter to you.
Yeah.
You know? Forgive.
Yeah.
Don't give them an hour of your life. You know how you ever stew on things when something bad happens?
Yeah.
And I'm an expert on the stewing part, and I really try to teach myself, don't give them an hour of your life.
Yeah.
It's okay, you know?
Once you calm down, try to go back and see if they had their finger on anything that was truth.
Heck yeah.
So you can walk away with something that actually improves your life, possibly.
Exactly. Because you may get all bent out of shape and someone's really meaning well.
Yeah.
Hey, you need to stop talking to your wife or your girlfriend this way. It's wrong.
Yeah.
No, wait a minute, blah, blah, blah. You get all, no, he's right. You know?
Yeah.
You know, too, this is funny. If you're with a good woman, listen to what they tell you.
Yeah.
They're very insightful. And a lot of times men won't listen to what they say. Listen to what they tell you. Because
That's right.
you could really learn something about yourself in that.
And lastly, if you were the one spilling out all the abuse because of whatever reason, whatever happened, be quick to go back, confess, and ask forgiveness
Ask
and
for
humble
apology.
yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, okay, I kind of have a story. I'm going to make it real fast.
All right.
I work with engineers who install radiology equipment, right? So I had this engineer, and I start trying to talk to him. He starts cutting me off. I know the personality trait is I know it all. Whatever you're going to say doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to convey something, so I can tell what kind. Anyway, I get over it. Well, anyway, he made a mistake, and I'm talking to his boss, a PM, who I have to say, hey, this has to be done correctly. And I said, you know what? I really don't care working with him at all. You know, he didn't do a good job here. I was frustrated at the circumstance because we have a timeline and there's tension in that.
Yeah.
So I threw him under the bus. I called her back. And this just happened about 2 weeks ago. I called her back and I said, hey, listen, I'm a little frustrated, so I kind of spoke out of turn. He can improve on his listening skills, but it's not as bad as I said it. I'm just frustrated right now.
Yeah.
And she goes, thank you for letting me know that. You know, that's fair and right. You know what I mean? Like, it's okay to go back and apologize.
Man,
when you're
your
not at
esteem
your best.
just rose 3 notches on that conversation, you know?
But again, it's, and I tell you, in my career, things have gone really well.
Yeah.
And I don't have any ugly, I've had so many job opportunities, so many good things, doing right by people, doing my best I can,
So I have a global insight that can tag on to the end of this conversation, which I think is kind of profound. It was kind of a revelation I had a couple days ago. You know, the Bible says that we're made in the image of God. That means God considered himself, and he made us kind of like him. He didn't make us identical to him. He didn't make us other gods like him, but he took the pattern of his own, everything about it. The fact that we have bodies is a metaphor for the way that he is in the spirit realm. I know I'm getting kind of crazy about this, but mainly the way our emotions work are many ways replicated the way that his emotions work. And here's the key. Everybody knows that because the Bible says he was made in the image of God, right? The reason he made us in his image is that we are going to live in a world where he lives, that's like the world that he lives in. Consider that. I mean, we're on earth. God has got his big toe on earth, and he considers it, but really, earth, this life is like an aquarium sitting on his desk.
Yeah.
Okay? It's not really the way the spirit world is. But much of the way the spirit world works is replicated in this environment that we're in. And there's a hint about that because one of the job descriptions that God lays out before us is someday we'll rule, judge angels and rule. Doesn't that imply something needs to be ruled? Something is unruly?
Order has to come to something, huh?
Yes, that we're going to bring order to something that's chaotic. And what if all that chaos is the kind of chaos that we deal with difficult people and hard conversations, forgiveness, judgment, where to drop the hammer, where to take your hands off. All those kind of things that we're talking about today might have actually eternal implications.
That's interesting.
Just ponder that.
Yeah.
Because it's really kind of fascinating to me.
It is. These skills, they call them soft skills.
Yeah.
Will they service in the kingdom come?
Yeah.
After.
Yeah.
I
It
never
makes
thought
you
about
wonder
that.
what's coming.
Okay, now I'm wondering. Let's pray, Chris.
Yeah, thank you, Father. Anybody that's in a conflict right now, we pray that you resolve it in a way that gives God glory, that he would be proud of you, that he would look at you and say, man, that's the way to do it. That was a tough spot you're in, but man, you unwound it like a pro. And you have my approval and my blessing. And God, just light a lamp unto our feet. Show us the way to go. So many things in life are hidden in mystery, but you can light the way before us, and you can put your arm around us and lead us through to forgiveness and to live in peace and to glorify you at all times. So that's what I'm asking for. In the name of Jesus, amen.
Amen. Thank you, guys. See y'all next show.